What's going on, everybody? Had to fix my little nice hot lemon lime water with a little bit of honey. Start start about a minute. So hope everybody's having a great day. Staying safe out there. So let's get right into this. So I meant to do this video about a week ago, but I've been a little bit tied up. Been real busy lately. But let's get right into this. So the Los Angeles Clippers, y'all know, choked the 3-1 series lead to the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets did it to the Utah Jazz as well in the first round, becoming the only team to do that, come back 3-1 in two different series in the same postseason. Now, there's a lot of talk about what the Clippers' plans are going to do as far as upcoming next season. Reports are they're going to keep Doc Rivers as head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. To a lot was surprised by that. You know, even me, I was a little bit shocked, given Doc Rivers' playoff history failures. And when I step back and, because you're drilling your emotions there after you seeing an epic collapse like that, which the Clippers gave up they had two games where they was up by 16 at the half and 19 at the half, and they squandered both deficits against the Denver Nuggets. And I think they was up by double digits in the game 7, I believe, too. And they wound up losing the series. And it's a lot of talks about what can the Los Angeles Clippers do to right their wrong for next season. And when you look at their roster, they're pretty much stuck with this same team. I mean, I know they got Montrezl Harrell as one of their key contributors, Sixth Man of the Year. I believe he's a free agent. They got a couple other guys who are free agents. But looking at this roster, they got Kawhi Leonard, of course, Paul George. You got another sixth man, Lou Williams, who really, everybody's talking about Paul George, rightfully so, given his stature in the league, being a 6-time All-Star, and his recent playoff failures. But Lou Williams really wet the bed, too, in that Denver Nuggets series. Everybody want to get on Paul George and Kawhi Leonard's 14-point game 7. But when I look at this team, they're going to have to do... They can't... A lot of people sit back and say that all they're going to have to do is just rerun it back. They're fine, rerun everything back and get ready for next season. I don't see it that way. I know a lot of people do as well. They don't see it that way. First of all, they got exposed in the Denver Nuggets series. Their lack of interior presence on the defensive end. I like Montrezl Harrell, but he can't guard any true bigs in today's game. He's an undersized forward. Zubac, he's a good role player, but he only plays well in certain matchups, especially with shorter guys on him. And when it comes to defending, he's not a good defender. They don't have any rim protection. You look at Patrick Beverly. A lot of people rave about Patrick Beverly as a player, but excuse me, Patrick Beverly just fouls to me. When I watch him play, he doesn't leave any imprint on the game to me. Everybody talk about rave about his defense, man. He fouls. He fouls more than he scores. He's not a you can't win with him being your point guard, your starting point guard. The Clippers need a playmaking point guard, and they need a rim protection guy at center, man. They're also gonna have to figure out how they're gonna run their half court offense, because when you watch their half court offense in this postseason, especially in the first round where they struggled against Dallas, and I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, people in here. If Porzingis don't get hurt in that series, we might be talking about a whole different series. They might have even got out of the first round, for real, for real. The Los Angeles Clippers wouldn't even have got out of the first round. They struggled in that series. You know? But when you watch the Los Angeles Clippers play, this team, to me, they're missing a couple of things. And I don't know who can they pick up because of what they had to give up to get Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on that roster. How can they really build? They can't build through the draft. They can't get nobody through the draft, you know, because they gave up a lot of their picks. And hold on, let me look at the chat. Cycle says Lemon Pepper Lou played like absolute crap in the Nuggets series. Facts, he did. He played like absolute hot garbage in that series. You know? But who can they get that's going to fix their flaws? I'm not saying they got to just tear down their whole entire roster, but they're going to have to make some moves. Some little moves here, little moves there to show up their issues. Because they can't build, obviously they can't get nobody through the draft. You gave up a ransom to get a guy who struggles in the postseason in Paul George. All those pick swaps. Do y'all not know that the Los Angeles Clippers are not going to have a first round draft pick to 2027? Think about that. This team ain't going to have a first round draft pick at the end of the day. They ain't going to have a first round draft pick to the end of the almost to the end of the decade. And they also gave up a first round pick to get Marquise Morris. So you come on, they basically gave up all those draft picks for 3 players. And everybody was talking about, well, when this pairing happened with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, how excellent a defensive team there was going to be. I didn't see that. You may have saw it in spurts here and there in the regular season, but you definitely damn sure didn't see it in the postseason. It was getting torched in the postseason. Where was this vaunted Clippers defense? Where was that? Because everybody was raving before they even stepped onto the court. You got Pat Bev, you got Paul George, you got Kawhi Leonard. Ain't nobody gonna go through them defensively, man. Shit. Them motherfuckers couldn't stop a nosebleed. What NBA teams can learn from the Los Angeles Clippers, you do not give up all these assets to guys. First of all, these 2 guys, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they're not even locked up long term. These guys only signed a 2-year with an opt-out. These guys can opt out after next season. So they only got them for 2 years. You gave up all them picks to get, because Kawhi Leonard wasn't, because Kawhi Leonard made it clear he was just gonna, he had a couple of options. He was gonna stay with the Raptors. He was gonna go to the Lakers, which I couldn't see, or he was gonna go home to the Los Angeles Clippers. A lot of people owe the Raptors, even though the Raptors didn't get back to the finals, but a lot of people have to make an apology to the Raptors GM Masai Ujiri. Masai Ujiri said, "No, man, I'm not doing all that." It was a report saying that Kawhi Leonard wanted Paul George. If he couldn't get him, couldn't team up with him with the Clippers, he wanted him with the Toronto Raptors, and also adding Russell Westbrook to that equation. But they had to give up Pascal Siakam. Now I know Pascal Siakam had a shaky postseason in the second round against the Boston Celtics, and a lot of people saying, "Well, I told you so." Pascal Siakam ain't the goods and this and that. Pascal Siakam is a 25-year-old player that is still growing and ascending as a player, and this is his first time being in a position of being a lead dog on a contending team. We have a lot of history on Paul George that shows that he is not that guy. Even in Indiana, that he's not a top guy on a championship team. And now you have to ask yourself, is he even a top dog on being a number 2 guy? This guy had a lot of games where he had 9 points. He had 10-point games. He wasn't showing up this postseason, and he was the number 2 guy. And you wanted the Toronto Raptors to trade for that? Look at it like this. They got to the same position that the Los Angeles Clippers got, and didn't have to fork out as nearly as enough money as the Los Angeles Clippers did, and in all those draft picks. This team, the Los Angeles Clippers, if they do not get it done next season, if they get bounced out in the second round, or shit, if they don't even get to the second round, this team is blowing the fuck up. I guarantee you, they don't get it done. Kawhi Leonard's opting out of his contract, and Paul George is gonna opt out with him, and they're going somewhere else. And then the Los Angeles Clippers are gonna be fucked for the next 10 years because they gave up all the motherfucking picks. If you gonna give up all those picks, at least lock them into a 4-year deal with no opt-out. At least do that. Shit. I understand why they did it, because they don't have the history of attracting major free agents. And they did a really good job the previous season being 8th seed and challenging the 2-time defending world champions to 6 games in the first round. So they got a couple good young pieces, and they had the money to spend. So it was an attractive situation for some free agents to go there. But that being said, the Los Angeles Clippers made a terrible decision to give up those draft picks, and it's going to come back to haunt them. And then they don't have them. They're not going to have the money to spend to get anybody in free agency. They're going to have to make a trade. They're going to have to come up with a sign and trade. Maybe even think about throwing in Paul George in the mix if you think you need to get a better, reliable number 2 option. But the problem is, who's really out there, though? That's the thing. And then you got to look at the Western Conference. Denver Nuggets, regardless of what happens in this series, they know they're down 3-1 against the Lakers. Regardless of what happens in this series, the Denver Nuggets' future is bright. Now, I got questions about their head coach, Mike Malone. I think he makes some bonehead decisions in his rotation. And I think he's been getting away with it this postseason because of the resilience and the fight of the Denver Nuggets. You know, having good young pieces like Jamal Murray and the Joker. And I think if he stays healthy, Michael Porter Jr. has all-star, superstar capability written all over him if he stays healthy, you know what I'm saying, and work on his defense. I think he has the chances to be outstanding in the NBA. You know you're going to have Dallas Mavericks going to be on the come up next year as well. They're going to try to build off what they did this postseason. I thought they had a great showing. You know, you're going to definitely the Golden State Warriors going to have something to say about it. You know, you're saying you got Steph Clay back. You got the number 2 overall pick. They're going to be back in the swing of things. They're gonna try to make some noise next season. So shit, it ain't even no motherfucking guarantee that the Clippers are going to get to the point that they got to this year. So it's amazing that the all season everybody's talking about how bright the future of the Clippers is, and now it's a situation where you're looking at, if they don't get it done next season, you can potentially see a whole new team in a couple years. This team has literally put all their eggs in one basket. And Paul George is talking about after his lackluster series performance in a 10-point game 7 performance, that he says that this is not a make or break year and this and that. First of all, and this is a building stage and et cetera, et cetera. This is for the long haul. Well, how come you didn't sign a longer term deal? How come you only signed a 2-year deal with an opt out, like Kawhi Leonard? You don't pair up with each other and give up all those assets to think about, okay, what can we do the next 3 or 4 or 5 years? Because you guys ain't signed there that long. It is literally win now for this team. And you put your eggs in a basket and another guy in Kawhi Leonard. A lot of people I did a video a couple of weeks ago about MVP discussion. And I brought up the fact that Kawhi Leonard, as great as people say Kawhi Leonard is, and he's an outstanding player, but and everybody's talking about if he would have led the Clippers to the NBA championship, that he would have been in the top 10 or top 20. And I'm like, hold on, man. Slow down, man. People are prisoners of the moment. Prisoners of the moment of players, man. You have to put in a long-term body of work for me and a lot of people who really understand the game of basketball to put a guy that if look at his resume from the time he entered the league in 2011 to now, far as look at his availability. How can I rate a guy that highly? This man only in his 9 or 10-year career, he's only had 2 seasons where he's played 70 or more games. He has 5 seasons where he's only played 66 games or less. This is not an old man in the league. He's only 28, 29 years old. It's hard for him to play back-to-backs. The load management shit, man, that shit is not going to work in the Western Conference, man. And the regular season is going to count a whole lot when you consider how talented and deep the West is. Kawhi Leonard missing 5 games due to load management can make the difference between you being a 3 seed or a 4 seed in the Western Conference. Ali said Kawhi and Paul George have player options. Yeah, I know that. They got player options. They can both opt out in 21-22 season. Yeah. Like I said, that's a lot to give up for those 2 individuals, man. And you look at Kawhi Leonard, man, you got to ask yourself, yeah, he's 28, I think 28 or 29 years old. You have to ask the question, how bad is his knees? And can you really count on him to go deep into the playoffs in the next 2, 3, 4 years? You got to ask yourself that. Do you believe this guy can stay healthy and produce at a high level in the next 3 or 4 years? Because if his knees is that bad now, how's it gonna look 3 or 4 years from now? The Los Angeles Clippers are in win now mode. Fuck what Paul George talking about. They're in win now mode. If they do not get it done next season, and I don't want to hear any excuses because they're gonna have this team is gonna have a shortened season next year. Okay, they're not gonna play a full 82 game season, so you really don't need to. I don't want to hear no shit about they need a low management. No, they need to play as many games as they can in the regular season, get a high seed as possible. These guys need to be out on the court practicing together, build camaraderie. Doc Rivers got to do a better job holding his superstars accountable. Because it's rumblings right now that Paul George and some of his teammates look at him side-eyed. Because Doc Rivers don't be getting on him in practice and shit like that. Him and Montrezl Harrell reportedly got into it the last game in Game 7. And I guarantee they probably sitting there saying, shit, y'all guys, Doc Rivers getting on us, the role players, but our two main stars who are supposed to be leading us to the promised land, having something they don't show up to practice or they don't get on them when they fuck up, and these guys supposed to be another thing about the Clippers, I don't see the leadership. Like where is the leadership of this basketball team? Where is the guy you go to say when things get rough? Okay, man, we got to point to this guy, man. He gonna steer us and lead us in the right direction, gonna calm us down. I don't see that in the Clippers. The way they played in the playoffs, it was like it was like a fucking this is like a pickup game to them. Like it was no intensity. A lot of them guys didn't even want to be there and shit. What up, LVZ? Shit, stop front running. Exactly. This team is a major front running team, man, and their asses got exposed in the playoffs. But anyway, I'm about to head out, tip on out, about to check out game 4 tonight of Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics. Who y'all got tonight? Excuse me, game 5. I think I said game 4. Game 5. Who y'all got, Boston or Miami Heat tonight? I got Miami Heat tonight. I think they're going to close it out. Get ready for whoever come out the West, who I think is going to be the Lakers. I think Denver's going to win. I think Denver's going to win tomorrow. I think the Lakers going to close it out in 6. All right, I'm about to head on out. Thank y'all for the live stream coming in there. Y'all make sure y'all also subscribe to my fitness channel, Winners Train, Losers Complain. I'll put it in the link in the description box at the end of this live. Also, if y'all want to donate to this channel, y'all can donate to my Cash App. I'll also put it in the description box. And also, if y'all want to donate to my PayPal account, I'm gone. Peace.